Hey Joshua, 6th of December 2014.
We began in Cambridge, just behind Queen's at a ripe 4 AM. The journey seemed quite simple. Go to Dover, cross the English Channel, and then drive the rest of the way to Tignes, approximately 17 hours overall with various breaks scattered throughout. However, our coach broke down with a faulty gearbox. Never fear, a replacement coach was sent 3 hours later. The next day also began early and only after about 5 hours of sleep, considering we arrived at our accommodation, Grand Motte, at around 3 AM earlier that day. We collected our equipment, clothes, and for me at least, began
For the first time.
That evening Mark cooked us some pasta with several different types of vegetables and bacon, served alongside white wine and bread. Pretty fancy. We finished the night off at the opening night party.
8th of December 2014, the second day of varsity. I still crash far too much. If I look ill, it's probably because I am.
Later that evening, Will joined us for dinner while Nicole graced us with her cooking skills. We then spent the night playing Cards Against Humanity with other Patreons. After another long day of skiing, the others cooked rice, and this time Greg joined us for dinner. You may have noticed that I haven't, and spoiler alert, will not cook for the entire trip. The others wouldn't let me as they were afraid of catching my cold, which is fair enough. Greg, on the other hand, was so ill that he had to go to the hospital. At least I wasn't in that state, although, impressively, he managed to snowboard for 3 of the days. Anecdote aside, we made up and played an interesting game called Dip Fingers. You can see that the altitude was getting to us. Wednesday morning I woke up to bacon and eggs, and after more skiing, came back in search of Wi-Fi. Initially we tried a strip club bar area, though the barman got very angry at us due to some drink related confusion, effectively kicking us out. We did eventually manage to get some Wi-Fi at the upgraded accommodation, restoring our connection to the outside world. That evening was comedy night, which I unfortunately didn't get tickets for, so instead I played Pokemon Omega Ruby, watched over the stew for dinner, and then Mirren came over to visit for an hour or so.
Hey Joshua, it's Thursday 11th of December 2014. You only have 1 day of skiing left, and in fact, well, in the morning you kind of lost one of your ski gloves, so went with normal, just woolen gloves. Probably not the best choice in the world, but my hands are still alive. You also went on your first red run on your own, and the visibility was atrocious today. Like, literally you couldn't see more than 3 feet, which possibly could have helped because it prevented me from going fast at all on the red run. Basically just going down, stopping, going down, stopping, which made it take a very long time to get down from the top, but I still managed it, and I'm pretty confident that I could do it again, and I'm pleased with myself.
On the final evening we watched Life of Brian while eating Ollie's really quite good pasta, before drinking and heading off to the final night party.
Well, yeah. We are right at the top of the
After coming back to our accommodation, we quickly cleaned up, ran some errands, and then, I at least, slept for the next 17 hours as we drove all the way back to Cambridge. The ski trip was a solid end to a busy Michaelmas. I learned how to ski, made some new friends, and had a great time with the older ones. Writing this video on the cusp of New Year made me realise a couple of things. I expected this year to be lethargic and boring in comparison to 2013 at least. That was the year of A-levels, leaving school, going interrailing, turning 18, joining Cambridge, making a whole bunch of new friends at university, and then visiting family in India. What could possibly compare to all that? Well, although 2014 wasn't as fruitful as the previous, it's certainly not been bad, and being on 3 holidays with Patreons are definitely highlights. Let's just see what 2015 brings. See you then, Adrito.